This is a story that was sent to me by a fan. It's about a haunted rocking chair in an old house. But just before we get into it, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever sat in a chair that was rocking gently even though no one was there? Or have you ever felt a cold spot or a sudden chill when you're in a room by yourself? Maybe you've seen the shadow of a person or a strange shape out of the corner of your eye. If you have, then let me know in the comments below, because these things have happened to me before, and they're really creepy. Anyway, here's the story about the haunted chair. My grandmother's great aunt had an old rocking chair passed down from her mother. The chair was beautiful, made of dark wood and very ornately carved. It didn't rock very well, but my great-grandmother loved to sit in it and rock anyway. She said it reminded her of her mother and the times when her mother would rock her as a baby. My grandmother's great aunt would often tell stories about how she saw the ghost of her mother sitting in the chair, and how she could hear her mother's laughter echoing through the house. At first, my grandmother's family thought these stories were sweet and a little silly, just the ravings of an old woman. But then strange things started to happen. First, objects would move on their own. Then doors would slam shut and footsteps could be heard when no one was there. One day, my grandmother's great aunt was sitting in the chair when she felt a cold spot suddenly appear beside her. When she turned to look, she saw the ghost of a woman in a Victorian nightgown sitting in the chair with her. The ghost then reached out a hand and beckoned to my grandmother's great aunt. Terrified, she screamed and ran from the room. The next day she went back into the room, but the ghost was gone. However, when she went to get up from the chair, she found that she couldn't. Her legs were completely numb. She screamed for help, but no one could hear her. She tried to crawl away from the chair, but the more she struggled, the worse the pain became. Eventually, she stopped moving and simply stared blankly ahead. When my grandmother's family came to check on her, they found her slumped over in the chair, still breathing but completely paralyzed. They rushed her to the hospital, where she spent 3 weeks. When she returned home, she refused to leave the chair. She stayed in it day and night, screaming for help. But after a few months, she stopped speaking altogether, and her mind began to deteriorate. She died in the chair 18 years later. Those who had cared for her burned the chair in a large steel drum, but it took 2 days and multiple attempts before it was completely destroyed. To this day, no one knows why the woman in the chair beckoned to my grandmother's great aunt. Maybe she wanted to warn her of the danger she was in, or maybe she just wanted company. Now, here's the question I want you to think about. What if you were the one sitting in the chair right now? How would you react if the ghost of a woman in a Victorian nightgown appeared beside you and reached out a hand to beckon to you? Would you try to move away like my grandmother's great aunt, or would you reach out to touch the ghost? I'm really interested to read your thoughts in the comments below. Also, if you like the video, please hit the thumbs up button, because it really helps me out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.